for the longest time, Oriental music sounded very sad to me. It just sounded sad. But now it doesn't. For some reason, I don't know. Something changed in my brain.
Well, you're not wrong. By essence, Rai is very melancholic. We have what we call in poetry le registre élégiaque. Élégiaque is everything that refers to melancholy, sadness, deep dread, existential crisis, and everything. So Rai talks a lot about that, but very directly. It doesn't try to, embellish everything or anything. Like, it's me. Here are my struggles. Do with them as you want. And also, Rai means le sort, like destiny,
Isn't it the opinion?
No, not really. Like, yes, I guess you could say so, but the true meaning of it is like le sort. D'ailleurs, il y a beaucoup de chansons où le chanteur est like, that repeats Rai. D'ailleurs, il y a une chanson très belle qui s'appelle Hissid el-Hakem, qui a été écrite par une ancienne poétesse tanèque qui parle aussi encore de la guerre et tout, qui a été reprise récemment dans les années 70 par Bellemou et Boutelja. Et à un moment donné de la chanson, il répète Rai 9 fois. Rai, 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 Rai. Et tu sens la douleur à chaque fois, with repetition comes like exacerbation of sad feelings.
Okay.
And he's like crying his destiny. Like some people think that Rai celebrates the ugly. Not really. Some people are really regretful when they speak. It's like, Rai, I regret what I did. I regret that night. I regret that feeling.
That is true. There is a romanticization of sadness in Rai, isn't there?
Maybe some songs, but it
it's
glorify.
It's not necessarily a bad thing. Yeah.
Can be. I don't like when people, embellish like sad feelings because it can be toxic really quickly.
Okay.
It's like that whole when we were 14 and we were like, oh my god, toxic love. If he doesn't, cry about me, then he doesn't love me. If he doesn't, get depressed every so often, he doesn't love me. No, that's a problem. And even people who like enjoy their sadness, it's a problem. We're all guilty of that to some extent. We all like to enjoy our self-loathing moments.
I don't enjoy my sadness. I like to go
Tant
out.
mieux. Tant mieux.
Yeah.
But it's very like self-degrading. It can be.
Well, it can. I know some people who are addicted to sadness.
Yeah, that's
a
problem.
They trigger sadness sometimes. They look for sadness. If they are okay, when everything is okay, that's not okay. They need that feeling. And
it's popular in art also, like a tortured artist, vibe.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Justement, Rai doesn't do that. Like, he gives you his state, but there's a lot of regret and there's a lot of bashing, that this is my destiny. I have made some bad choices. Wish it could be different, but hey, here it is for now. Inshallah khair.
Yeah.
For the future.
I also know about comedic Rai, which I love.
Really?
So
like
have
what?
you heard of Haj Sidi Bimol?
Right, I have.
Yeah. So I love all of his songs, all of them. And I was introduced to them. Well, Haj Sidi Bimol is a bit of blues Rai. It's not completely Rai. But his poetry, like what he was saying, he was like spot on about our problems here in Algeria. So yeah, do you know his song ما كاين والو خير من العمر?
I guess I've heard it.
Yes, can I read a passage from it?
Of course, please do.
Okay, wait, I have to find it on Google.
But just so you know, like, there are different type of Rai, it's not all the same and like modern and stuff. When you spoke about blues, there's a movement called trab, like dirt trab. That's olden blues, like it hits you in the core type of Rai. The spokesperson for it is Sheikh Al-Janniya, who has a very, very touching...
I never heard of her.
She's a pioneer, just like Rimiti. I don't know why people don't know about her that much, but she has a voice, like it transcends everything, and it really cuts deep into your soul, and you become the sadness,
Yeah.
And I like it because it's very oral, like I said. Whenever they talk about something, like they scream into it, like screamo music, but like a Rai version of it, like you can sense the sadness and the hurt in their voice.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's popular, it's real. This is Algeria, This is the real Algeria, not
I told you I was in a party and they put Al-Basta. It was 5 a.m. or something, and we were all very tired. And he started singing Datni Sakra, right?
Datni Sakra.
Datni Sakra. And I never was in his situation, but I remember.
I know.
I know.
Same.
I feel you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do I read the lyrics
Yes,
in
please.
Darja or in English?
درجة.
قريت وجبت الدبلوم. هقول لي وش فهمت اليوم. أنا خطي مسطور وما كاين والو خير من الأمور. ها صلاح سيونتيفيك البلاد تمشي في ترافيك ما يصلح الدكتور ما كاين والو غير خير من الأمور. بالعربية بالعرب والميزيلمون. هبلت الناس كاريمون وتعيط او سكور. ما كاين والو خير هذا تغبر في الكيف وهذا wait, that's my favorite passage. My favorite passage is it's like whatever problem you have, whatever you want to achieve, like stop looking around for stuff or for projects and stuff. Like there's nothing better than love. Like just get married, make love. Like it's just better. At some point he says حبيت دير sport ما كاين والو خير من الأمور. Yeah.
I got it.
So yeah, like it's like don't get depressed over things. Don't get overworked and overthink things. Just find someone to love, and things are gonna be all right. That's how I understood the lyrics. There's also another song called Chino.
I don't know it.
It's amazing. I'm gonna make you listen to it later in the car.
Right.
But yeah, this poem is like should be written in a circle, because it is a circle, and it's an ironic circle. Like it starts somewhere, and then it goes from there to there, and then there from there to there, and from there to there. So they want to get some point, but instead they go back to the start, and it's amazing. It's
at the end of the day, it's all about finding what you vibe with and what speaks to you. Like, I like to be funny, be like, ha ha ha, deep stuff, but there's somebody for everybody. And there are people who intellectualize everything and speak, with big words, but their work is amazing. Kima Mustafa Ben Fodel, it's an Algerian writer who writes poetry in a manner that's so beautiful and so real. But he uses it in a French language and, big words and complicated, themes sometimes. But it speaks to you because his primary source of inspiration is the real world. Like Algeria, as it is,
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, what I've learned through my modest, once again, artistic experience is that to each their own, I guess. And as long as you're being, in a way, useful to the society, you can, write about what's going on. It's important.
Yeah. And you never know where genius is hidden.
Right.
Like, I'm sure that a lot of people that we consider today geniuses didn't think too much of their work at the time.
Oh, absolutely. And I firmly believe that real artists are not, most likely are not going to be famous or appreciated. Maybe after their death, like many of the artists we know now, painters, writers, you name it. But during their life, they weren't really appreciated. They were taken for granted maybe, or, pushed under the rug, but not really, like their work wasn't looked into as much as they deserved. So yeah, and when you're a true artist as well, when you are a true artist and your work is valuable, you are very opinionated, and you can stay silent on many things, and you can't be a puppet, or like just a spokesperson to being naive and enjoying the moment and everything. So you're gonna get smacked at some point. You're gonna
at some point you're gonna start digging deeper.
Like we were talking about earlier about Sinead O'Connor,
Yes.
You told me that her was it MTV? No, what was it?
SNL.
SNL performance.
Yeah, she tore the picture of
the Pope.
Of the Pope.
Right.
Yes, and she did that because not because she hated Christians or anything like that.
Of course
it's
not.
because of all the sexual harassment that was happening with children in churches, and the Pope was saying nothing about it. and he was doing nothing about
She was
it.
conveying a factual message, and this what happens with true artists, and they're gonna be discredited, gonna be called mentally ill, crazy, addicts, whatever, gonna be labeled as something for the general public not to like them.
Yes.
And it's a huge problem. But, sometimes you just have to dig deeper and get your proper idea of what's going on, really, and not be influenced as best as you can by, the right wing or the left wing or whatever.
Even 30 years later, she was invited by Graham Norton on the Graham Norton show. And the first thing he said to her, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Yeah, I'm okay." But he never asked this question to any other guest. Like, she started telling him, "Did you expect me to not be okay?" But he started saying, like, "No, we're worried about you. Are you okay?" She said, "No, I'm okay. Like, there's nothing in my life that should put me in a not okay situation." Do you see what I mean?
Do you imagine how hurtful that must feel? Like, even, on a smaller level, whenever you have friends and they make you feel like you're crazy and you're like, "Oh my God, what is it?" They send you into like a schizophrenic episode and you are like, in consequence, you have low self-esteem and everything. Imagine having the whole world do that to you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm, amazed at how long she has lived, and she has still, believed in her messages throughout all of this drama.
Yes.
Truly an icon. Allah yarhamha.
Allah yarhamha. Her life was filled with tragedy. Yeah, she lost her son quickly before she died, and she died of sadness. She said, I can't do this anymore without him." So yeah. Now comes the time for me to ask you, how are you, Ines? And in the context of, how are you?
Just after speaking about Sinead O'Connor on the ground, Northern Shire. Okay,
but I mean, we're living through a genocide.
Oh yeah.
How are you dealing with it?
I'm not okay. I hope nobody is. Not until we have, that whole thing sorted. And if anybody is able to be okay, that's alarming. That's,
Excuse me, there's a honey cat. We were talking about what's happening in Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Yes.
From the river to the sea.
From the river to you shouldn't say that. You should. You're asking for the genocide of the Jewish people when you say from the river to the sea. You have to say.
Break.
You have to say from the river to the first checkpoint of I don't know which one.
Isn't it tragic? I was talking to you earlier about the last massacre that has occurred yesterday.
The flower massacre.
The flower massacre, yes. So for everybody who's not aware of this, there were some food trucks, 8 food trucks, that were able to penetrate under the IDF surveillance, of course, the northern Gaza Strip, to deliver flour to people who are massively dying of famine. In 2014, everybody's watching. Nice.
Yeah.
I still can't believe it. على بالك شغل mind-blowing. And so they put the flour packages, and of course the strong Palestinian men went there to get the flour to feed their families, their babies, their children, brothers, sisters who are dying of hunger once again. And they waited for them to get close enough to the flour packages, and they started rifling everybody and killing everybody. And the flour was mixed with their blood. So not only did people die, the flour was not even able to be used, Yeah. What can you say? But, it's... For me, it is the worst genocide of all time because, people say, no, it has always, happened and just now it's televised and whatever. I'm sorry, there were treaties, il y a des traités, il y a des lois qui ont été faites. Dans le paraître, c'est des maliches, We all know what the West, and But at least, we have become civilized enough to, not turn a blind eye completely to what's going on, and we have come to the realization that we can't do shit and we won't do shit, and everybody's like, oh, facts, this is bad, what can you do? Nothing, because America said so, Yeah. So we're just watching a whole population get decimated before our own eyes, and we just have to live our lives as if nothing is happening, because what can you do? And I don't know. We're like day 150. I don't even know anymore. 150 of genocide. Like, I didn't even think it would get to that point.
Yeah.
It's surreal. It's mind-blowing. It's, beyond everything I have ever imagined. What do you do?
I don't
Talk
know.
about it. That's it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. It really doesn't. Yeah, and I don't know how things are gonna end. However, I have a small hope in my heart. But whatever good comes out of this isn't worthy of all the lives that have been lost, in my opinion. However, I feel like this might be Palestine's we make our own sack. So where at some point the Palestinian people are going to realize that there's no way around armed struggle. And this happened to many people. It happened to the Jews during the Nazi occupation of Poland. It happened to the Algerians during the occupation of France.
It's heart-wrenching because I was in Mr. Ghanem last week, and I went to the Dahra caves, les enfumades du Dahra. Being there was surreal because you're like, oh, so this is where the French occupation killed a whole village of Oulad Riyah.
Did they put them inside the cave?
Right, yeah. So this part of Mr. Ghanem was very resistant, and the French occupation had a hard time, bringing them on their side. So they were like, what can we do? They were very strategic, the Oulad Riyah people. So sometimes they hid in the caves, the Dahra caves that are in Mr. Ghanem. After Ash'asha, Nikmariyan, then there's the Dahra. And, they would seek shelter there. And someone, of course, biyahum. So the French knew of their location, and they basically kept them in the cave and lit a fire and burned everybody inside, like a whole tribe. It was in 1845 under the command of Périssé. If I'm not, may he know eternal hellfire.
Well, he's probably a hero. He probably has a statue and a neighborhood named after him in Paris.
Yeah, and and fun fact, during the Les Enfumades, French people had a banquet next to the cave, and they used to laugh and eat while hearing the small children's cries and screams and people. So you
need to have some emotional
dehumanization.
Strength in order to go there.
Yes, it was harrowing. It was very, very weird to be there. It's like immense. But first of all,
how could you eat while listening to children cry?
Well, how can you do what the IDF is doing at the moment, like killing babies and then striking poses inside their cribs? Hello.
And signing bombs.
Yeah.
Signing bombs. And, I talked to some Europeans, not all of them, but some do have this mentality. For example, I shared on Instagram a photo of the actor who played Captain America. I think Chris Hemsworth. No, not Chris Hemsworth. The other one, Chris Evans.
Right.
Yeah, and he was signing a bomb in Afghanistan. What kind of sick, I don't know, why would you sign a bomb? What kind of culture takes you to a place?
They're brainwashed. I truly believe they don't have the same reality as we do.
Exactly. You have all the means to educate yourself. And there are some really well-educated Europeans and Americans who really understand right from wrong. How could you go and sign a bomb that that might explode and kill people and kill innocent people?
Yeah, privilege blinds you also. Yeah. These celebrities, it's not really that important to them. It's not important enough for them to get educated on the subject. You know what I mean?
Just doing
bad
business.
People, Muslims, sign a bomb, so that young women can, will have the right to go to school and get educated because Taliban's bad people. Right, but there's more to the story than that.
Yeah, especially when Taliban was being funded by the CIA. So it's quite funny, actually. there's also the important point. I have to remember it and say it. Yeah, there you go. So, the movie American Sniper.
I don't know. My movie knowledge is very small.
Huge movie based on a real life American soldier. Movie directed by Clint Eastwood.
Right, all right.
Yes. So turns out this guy, American Sniper, like the guy whom the movie was based on, he died in 2013 due to illness.
Okay.
And there was, I think, a 50-kilometer, not chain, a 50-kilometer line of cars and people walking in the highway to commemorate him.
Mm-hmm.
So what he was basically is a sniper perched somewhere in a safe place, killing people, and he killed over 500 people. So he's the deadliest sniper in history during the Iraq War.
Okay.
And I started thinking about it, and like there was an interview where a journalist, an American journalist, he told him, well, you killed a woman and a child. He said, yes. He said, because the woman was holding grenades. So I killed them both. And they said, was it difficult for you to kill a woman and her child? He said, no, I was protecting my comrades. And I thought about it, and I compared it in my mind to video games, to, for example, Counter-Strike. There is no honor in those video games to campers, to people who sit somewhere safe with snipers and just have easy kills. There is no honor among gamers.
Yeah, they're shamed.
They shamed. How come there was a 50-kilometer mile commemorating a camper, a real-life camper who was safely killing women and children? And culturally, it makes sense to them. It's very, very difficult for them to come to the realization that at the end of the day, the American sniper and all his comrades are American. What were they doing in Iraq? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I guess, to me, I feel like it's almost, like we are two different species. Like you can't understand the sick mind.
It's incredible. It's incredible, and it's a culture. It's a culture of normalizing taking someone else's resources, taking someone else's land, and vilifying them. They've been doing it since forever. Imagine a whole culture based on invading Africa and invading Asia. A whole culture based on
imperialism is wild.
Yeah, on committing genocide and killing 150 million people in the Americas. Like, what do you expect from people like this? And yeah, what really saddens me is that at the end of the day, those are the ones who hold technology and who hold wealth. We cannot do anything to counteract them because we're not rich enough.
Yeah, we will never. Well, it's like a systemic problem, and it can only be solved that way,
Yeah.
But at least there is awareness about this, talk about it, not let ourselves be desensitized to it. That's the most important part, because it's really easy to go on about our lives, not having care in the world, because what can I do? But at least, for those who believe in prayer, dua, it helps, keep your humanity intact, because it's very easy to be swayed.
But it's very difficult.
Of course it is.
Even when you say dua, it's difficult. You start doubting everything. Like when you see what's happening, you doubt everything. You doubt, I don't know, even if you're religious, you doubt your religion.
It can happen, of course, because difficult times, but you shouldn't, let that affect you.
Yeah, but it's still difficult.
Of course it is.
Like, why are children dying this way? And is this necessary? Is there nothing that could be done? But yeah, so there are, since the 7th of October, I think I try to educate myself about what's happening in the world, and I keep discovering more and more people And there's a theme. Usually they're Muslims that are oppressed by other people.
Really, look at what's happening in Congo. Congo, they're not Muslim, but
exactly.
It's tragic. There are a lot of genocides everywhere at the moment. Gaza is getting coverage because it's really alarming, of course, but inequalities are everywhere.
Mm-hmm. There's also what's happening in China, Uyghur, horrible stuff. Recently, I did a podcast with a friend about Western Sahara. Yes. It's bad. It's really, really bad. So yeah. I don't know. What do you do to keep yourself healthy anyway during these times?
I don't, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
I don't. What can you do? You log onto social media, all you see is that, and you can't help but be impacted by it. What can you do? Play video games and then, be better? It doesn't work on me personally. I just have to, I guess, brainwash myself and say that, at the end, it will be okay. They would get their land back. That's all I can do.
Yeah. So tell me, you've been traveling quite a lot recently.
Yes, I have.
Around Algeria.
Right.
I'm aware that you went to Wahran and to Masranam.
Exactly.
Are they the only two places you visited recently?
No. I've actually discovered the West lastly, quite recently. Yeah. It was amazing because every time you dig deeper into, a part of Algeria, it's like a whole different, almost a country, the mentality is different, the tradition is different, the language is different.
Yeah.
And so I have started with Mistghanem, Wahran, Tlemcen recently. And the cultures there is amazing. And actually what made me want to visit those places was Rai. So, it can be quite a cultural ambassador as well. Don't underestimate the power of music and poetry. And I've discovered that Mistghanem was, the earth of poets by excellence. We have really renowned poets like Sidi Lakhdar Ben Khlouf, who was both a warrior during the Mazgharan battle, against the Spanish and the Ottomans and stuff. And he was really an amazing poet, he would write more religious stuff, but nonetheless he had top-notch poetry. Yeah. And many other poets that stem from that region. So whenever you're interested, because the first time I went there, I was like, okay, what can I visit there? And there's like Mostaland, Salaman, La Corniche, Voilà, Cap Evi, and that's it. And then I'm like, oh, but I went there and I was like, okay, I did everything in 2 days. Is that it? And I was like, okay, no, there must be something bigger than that, comment. And I looked, I dug deeper and I looked into it and I found like they have a really ancient city called Tijdit, and it is it holds many different mythological and, Sufi stories about it.
Interesting.
And they have a really good zawiya called Zawiya al-Alawiya. It's really pretty.
I think I've been there.
Yeah, it's pretty. They do an amazing job at upkeeping it in its initial state. And,
they're very devoted.
Yeah. There's a sense of peaceful. Mistghanem is very peaceful. That's the best way to describe the city. Yeah. And it has the best coast, in my opinion. I visited Annaba, Al-Qala, Wahran, the coast. Algerian coast isn't that great. Algiers, sorry.
Yeah.
What else? I guess those are the prettiest coasts. Jijil.
What about Bijayo? Is it prettier than Bijayo?
Yes.
Really?
Mistghanem, I like Salaman so much. There's something about it. It's really almost like there's a witchcraft. It keeps you there, present in the moment with the nature. It's. Okay. I understand why there's so many artists who emerge from there. Like we have a great writer, Habib Tangour. We have Kali. We have, like I said, Sidi Lakhdar Ben Khlouf, Sheikh Hamada, Sheikh Jilali. And Tidlis, many really wonderful artists that are from there.
Yeah. Before
the West, I did the East. I went to Al-Qala. It's like the border between the East and Tunisia.
Yeah.
I did Annaba, truly
Very
beautiful
beautiful
city.
city, yeah.
Taraf, bon, I did Jijil, as I said. I did Jaya. The people in Jaya are so sweet. I did many book fairs there, and also I hold poetry workshops for small villages for children, because during the summer everybody's, going to the beach and doing stuff, but there are plenty of small villages, children who don't have anything to do, especially because they don't have money, and they're on top of the mountain. What are they going to do? They can't go somewhere else to enjoy their vacation. So I try every summer to go there and, do some fun workshops for them. And, it was really difficult because they all speak Kabyle and some Arabic and some French. But the connection was there, and they were so happy to learn. And, I was a bit self-conscious because I was like, poetry, I don't think they're going to like it. En plus, in French ou la darja, je pense pas que ça va leur parler. I was scared, to be completely honest, and stressed. But it went so well. And it was children between the age of 8 to 16.
Okay.
And I was afraid of teenagers as well. I'm like, oh my God, these teenagers are mean.
Yeah.
But no, they were so welcoming, so eager to learn. Everybody wrote, in the language they're most comfortable with. And that's what, poetry and art is about, conveying a message. And we spent 4 days together. And, art and poetry can be a therapy as well, because a lot of them started to speak about their own struggles, whether it was bullying or, drama at home or whatever. They felt comfortable enough. It was like, once again, a safe space of free emotional trade and sappy shit. And it's really cool, and that experience really humbled me a lot because I learned a lot from them as well. And they kept such a fond memory of me that they came to Algiers to visit me during the Sila. That's such a long trip, and it was their first time in Algiers. And the first time at the, International Book Fair of Algiers, November passé, and they came and they, bought my book, and it was so sweet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I check on them every now and then to ask how they're doing, and they have a really cute theater group, and they, they do plays every vacation, and amazing children.
That's great. So was it in an association or a school? Or?
Yes, it was an association in Timegdel. It's the Ouzelagan county of Bjaya. Association Timegdel, and they do an amazing job. The staff are so altruistic, and they're so generous and benevolent, and they care about the children. They're there for them, and it's really heartwarming to see that in a world where everybody's thinking about themselves. Okay, my projects, what can I do next? How can, make my next moves, be a good way to earn money? And of course, you have to work on yourself to be able to help people, because you don't have anything who are going to be of any use to anybody. But there's an equilibrium, there's a balance in everything. And I'm very admirative of people who take of their time to be there for children, especially, who don't have any sources of entertainment or,
Yeah. What about doing that for adults?
Sure, where?
No, here in my school.
Sure, yeah, why not?
Yeah, but what would be the activities? How would that happen? Like, what would we do?
I held a workshop for adults in a school recently. What I primarily do is, a quick history of poetry, so that people know that it's not just something, a vain hobby or anything. It's, like we said earlier in the podcast, it's essential to humanity, and it plays a big role even today, and it mustn't die. I'm going to be a bit extreme, but it's true, And I do this, and I give small videos and examples of, what poetry has done and how it can touch people, and the power of being eloquent, even if you want to use that in your marketing career, politics or communication or whatever, it can come in handy.
Oh, yeah.
And so I do that, and then I ask people I give the different, forms of poetry, because I talked earlier about the Heian period during the Japanese, aspect of the book. And that period était vraiment, je trouve, novatrice et constructive pour toutes les formes de poésie actuelles, dont les haïkus qu'on connaît, tu vois, 5, 7, 5 syllabes. Like, c'est 3 vers, 5 syllabes, 7 syllabes, 5 syllabes qui sont très populaires d'Oka. Et ça a été créé à cette époque. le premier roman psychologique de l'histoire de l'humanité, le Genji Monogatari. Le dit du Genji a été créé à cette époque. Donc c'est ça narré.
What century was this?
Oh, ça a commencé en 794 jusqu'à 1100 quelque chose.
Okay.
C'était l'époque médiévale. Du coup, ça narrait les dynamiques sociales et sociétales de la cour impériale de l'époque. Donc, we have an outlook on how things were, d'un point de vue anthropologique, c'est intéressant, social, culturel, identitaire, historique. Donc, poetry helps. It's not useless, And to this day, je trouve le génie de cet écrit-là n'a pas pu être égalé.